So the heart's inside the pericardial cavity, right? It's got its own little part of the body cavity. So if you want to see the atria and the ventricles, you have to cut the pericardium open. Latex out of there. So there's the inferior vena cava, anyway, coming up to the heart, right from the diaphragm. Cats have kind of a, they have an inferior vena cava in the thorax. In people, the heart's right against the diaphragm, and as soon as the inferior vena cava comes into the thorax, it goes right into the heart. So there is no inferior vena cava here like this. But there's the inferior vena cava, and there's the superior vena cava over there. And now let me grab the forceps here. Yeah, pull it over that way. And your thymus gland was in here. Did you find any thymus? Like this thing? Is it? I think that's, yeah, that's the thymus gland. So there's a bunch of glandular tissue in here, which, if you want to see the vessels, you have to kind of get it out of the way. So there's the superior vena cava. Then each one of these is a brachiocephalic vein. One on the right, one on the left. And they're each formed when the internal jugular vein, which is deep in your neck here with the, see it? It should be in your neck running with the common carotid artery here. Got one over on this side. It's a little carotid. There it is there, and it got cut. So, there you go. So that's the internal jugular vein, that's the subclavian vein. They come together on both sides to form the brachiocephalic vein. So those are the veins. This is some kind of anterior thoracic vein there. Then when you get down to the heart, got to open up the pericardial cavity, cut through this pericardium. And of course there's sneeze in there too, because there's sneeze everywhere. Alright, so you have two ventricles. This would be the left ventricle and the right one. This is the interventricular sulcus is there with a big artery going in it that people get blockage in and have to have bypasses around. And then that's the auricle of the right atrium. Atrium's just the chamber that the inferior vena cava goes into here, the right atrium. And then the two atria, this one over here will have an auricle too. Have these little ears that stick out called auricles. I don't see much of an auricle over there. Oh, because I'm not inside the pericardial cavity. There's the other auricle. So that'd be the auricle of the left atrium. This is the auricle of it. Well, actually, Boy, I don't know. What am I doing here? all right atrium. It's superior vena cava coming into it. Yes, that's the article of the right atrium. Then let's see, we're going to find arteries. Pulmonary trunk comes out of the right ventricle and heads up this way. And then goes to the lungs. So pulmonary trunk's got to be in here somewhere. Got any more? You want to grab a couple of paper towels? Thanks. I'm going to stop talking for a minute here so I figure out what's going on. Okay. This is the right ventricle, this is the left one. This is the interventricular sulcus. It separates them. This thing coming out here is your pulmonary trunk, taking blood out of the right ventricle. And it dives underneath the aortic arch. This is the aorta, which is coming out of the left ventricle. And they twist around each other. So the aorta sort of comes out and goes like that, and then goes down into through the thorax and abdomen. And from the aortic arch, here you have, in a cat, I think you only have two vessels normally that branch off the aortic arch. These I don't know. I think that's what we got here. Cats are different than people. So there's the aortic arch, looking around like this. This one's called brachiocephalic artery because some blood's going to go to the right arm, some's going to go to the head. And if you dissect it up a little further, it splits into three vessels, like that. And then this one is going to the arm, it goes under the clavicle, so that's subclavian. And these two are the two common carotid arteries, the right and the left one, and they'll split into internal and external carotids up there. In people, usually this brachiocephalic trunk has a right subclavian, right common carotid, then this common carotid comes off the arch by itself. But it doesn't in a cat usually. And then this vessel here is going to the left upper limb. So this is the left subclavian. So that's the aortic arch. And then this thing will head down through the thorax and give off intercostal arteries to the intercostal spaces. And in this thing, this is actually called the conus arteriosus. Yeah. But the aorta and the conus arteriosus are derived from that conus arteriosus in the shark heart. It's just a single vessel, but when the heart gets turned into a four-chambered heart, the septum forms there and it spirals around like that, and that's why these things spiral around each other in an adult. So this is the pulmonary trunk, and it'll come up and give off a left pulmonary artery to the left lung and a right pulmonary artery to the right lung. But it has this cool connection here to the aorta, which is the remnant of a fetal vessel that allowed blood to bypass the lungs.
Oh, they go to the umbilical cord?
No, is that it? I guess that's it. I don't see anything else here. I guess that's it. No, the right ventricle in a fetus pumps blood into the pulmonary trunk. It's a little bit of it goes to the lungs, but they're collapsed because you're not breathing. So it needs another way to get out of the system, and this is the connection here that shunts it from the pulmonary trunk into the aortic arch. But it's deoxygenated blood. The other blood that's in the aorta has come from the placenta up to the liver, through the bypasses the liver through this thing called the ductus venosus, takes it past the liver, so it doesn't have to go through those sinusoids, goes into the inferior vena cava, gets mixed up with crappy blood, but still it's the best blood you have is when you're a fetus, and then when it comes into the right atrium, there's an opening, a one-way valve that lets it go from the right atrium to the left atrium to the left ventricle and out the aortic arch. So this part of the aorta has the best blood in it that the fetus has, and you don't want it to mix with the stuff that's in the right ventricle because that came from the superior vena cava. And so that blood gets to go up to the head, the developing brain and everything, before it gets mixed up with this crappy blood that comes in through this ductus arteriosus thing.
Yeah, I need to write Mr. Klein a letter. I love that code. Did you ever figure out that button?
So that's them.
It's coming. No, it's getting worse.
And let's see.
I don't know what I'm gonna
We
do.
did the veins up there.
I know, and it's tagged
Subclavian, external jugular, well that's out. External jugular is the one that's out here. That's the external
Although I feel
jugular.
like it's not going to fall off unless
The internal jugular is the deep one that runs here with the
because
common carotid artery. Man doesn't even have superior vena cava on there. What's the matter with him? So, oh yeah, there it is. It's backwards. Anyway. Okay. So, That's over on the right side. There's no inferior vena cava over here for this renal vein to drain into, so it has to go all the way over. The aorta is in the midline, and the inferior vena cava is over on the right side. So the left renal vein is real long. It's got to go all the way over there to get into the inferior vena cava. Well, the left gonadal vein, which would drain into an inferior vena cava if there was one here, doesn't have one. So the left gonadal vein, the left ovarian vein, drains into the left renal vein like this. It does it in people, it does it in cats. And then the artery, the ovarian artery, will run with the vein. So this little skinny thing here, probably, I know, boy, that's really well. I'm guessing is the ovarian artery. The vein's big, the artery's small. Not quite sure why. The vein is so big, and the artery's so small, but the vein's a good way to find the artery. Find the left renal vein if there's an artery, or the left gonadal vein. There's an artery running with it. It's the left gonadal artery. On the other side, over here, you can probably see the gonadal vein drains right into the inferior vena cava over here. I don't know if we can find your ovarian vein over there. Boy. It might be a gonadal artery. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not seeing a good ovarian vein over there. It's probably in this bunch of stuff. And what's that? Nothing. A clot. Trying to find the somewhere real close by, after the aorta comes into the abdomen, there should be two arteries coming off of it here, going to the. There's one. That's probably going to the most of the small intestine and some of the large intestine. So that would be the superior mesenteric artery. And then there should be another one here going to the stomach and the liver. So right there. This one. So this is the aortic hiatus. This is the opening the diaphragm the aorta goes through. And then as soon as it comes through, it gives off an artery to the stomach and liver, celiac. Has the same name in the shark. Then the superior mesenteric artery to the small intestine and most of the large intestine. And then there's a long interval where there are no more midline branches to the gut. And then when you get down here, the aorta bifurcates down here into two common iliac arteries that go on down to your pelvis and your lower limbs right there. Just bifurcates. But not too far above the bifurcation, there's another midline branch that goes to the sort of the distal end of the colon, basically, the large intestine, the last part of the large intestine. So these are the three midline branches to the gut: celiac, superior mesenteric, inferior mesenteric. And then in between them, you have the renals to the kidneys and the gonadals to the gonads. And then if you lift the aorta up, coming off the back side of it, here and there you see lumbar arteries that go to the body wall. You do, I'm telling you the truth. They're there. I've seen them with my own eyes. There. See, vessels like that. And they're going out to, each segment. There'll be a pair of them there. And you go down here a little lower, then there'll be another. There's one coming out here with the vein. There's 4 pairs of them. There. Those are lumbar arteries. Get rid of this thing. So you got a lumbar artery there, lumbar artery there, another one up there, another one up there, probably. I think that's it. Those were all the vessels.